Hey friends, this is Wendy with Love and Stampin'. Happy Cyber Monday. I am so excited to be here with you. So many fun sales and deals going on today, have been all weekend. I hope you've enjoyed and taken opportunities to get some good stuff. I'm using Waffle Flower Crafts products today. These are the postage, dies, and holiday postage collection. All the products I'm using today are going to be linked below the video. I bought these because I saw a lot of postage stuff online that I thought was so stinking cute, and so I just had to have it. I bought this stuff a long time ago, and I really have not used it. This is actually only the second time that I've ever even used the die or maybe the third. Only the second time I've used the stencils. So these stencils are really cool. Let me tell you a little bit about them while we ink blend. You can buy them in a collection. So this particular collection comes with gingerbread, snowmen, and poinsettias, or poinsettias, depending on how you like to say it. And then each of the stencils are labeled with a number. So like that first one was labeled 1-4 or /4. This one is labeled 2/4. And the next is 3 and then 4. So you know which stencil to use in which order. So like the first one was for your background. This one is for the first layer. Then you'll go to the next one, which will be for the next layer. And it just builds these beautiful little scenes like postage stamps. So postage stamps have kind of just been all the rage recently in card making over the last probably year or so. And I feel like Waffle Flower Crafts is really the ones that started this. I am not on the Waffle Flower Crafts design team, and this video is not sponsored. I purchased all these products. So, you know, this is just something that I saw a long time ago that I thought was really, really cool, and I knew I wanted to create. So the cool thing about this is I was able to just sit down. I turned on Gilmore Girls. That's one of my favorite fall / Christmas time TV shows to binge watch every year. So I start it in the fall, and then I'm usually done with it by like January. And of course I sprinkle in Christmas movies and cheesy Hallmark movies in between there. Here I'm using, I didn't tell you the colors on the last one, but this one I'm using Spun Sugar and Villainous Potion. And I'm going to try to kind of go dark at the bottom, light at the top in each square. So I'm using a piece of Misty grid paper to mask off the bottom there so that I didn't get Villainous Potion at the top of the bottom squares. Does that make sense? Clear as mud. So my ink blender here is picking up some of that Villainous Potion from the stencil and dragging it into that spun sugar, and I'm totally fine with that. I think it's really, really cute. I do not have any detail blending brushes, those little skinny blending brushes. I don't have any of those. So they're on my list to get, but I just used a Q-tip and it worked. I mean, was it perfect? No. Was it a little bit more difficult? Yes. But it worked, and so that's what's important. Here I'm going to use carved pumpkin for the snowman noses, and then use black soot to fill in their charcoal buttons. Yeah, buttons. And then we're going to move on to the poinsettia. I use rubbing alcohol to clean off my stencils. This works great. You never want to use rubbing alcohol on photopolymer, but you can use it on your plastic stencils. So anyway, Waffle Flower Crafts is a really cool company. I like their products, and this whole line of products is just really awesome. They've got slimline die cuts for slimline postage card making. They've got tons of different stencils that line up to make all of your pretty postage stamps. And I made 3 easel cards today. And the fun part, like I was saying earlier, was I was able to just sit down, turn on a show, and ink blend. This ink blending obviously took me much, much longer than you're seeing here in the video. This has been sped up exponentially because you don't want to watch me ink blend in real time. It's very slow, but it's a fun thing to do when you put on a show that you already kind of know what's going on. You certainly wouldn't want to put on something you had to watch closely because you're looking down. But It's a great one for just relaxing and having fun. Added a little fossilized amber to the center of the poinsettias there, and then I'm going in with some twisted citron and mowed lawn for my leaves. I have found that on my journey of card making and using new products, that distress inks blend beautifully. There's lots of inks that blend really well, but distress ink it just kills it, guys. It just takes the cake. And so here we're making a card base. So this is how easy an easel card is that is going to end up being a landscape easel card. You score at 4 1/4 and 2 1/8 on the landscape side. That's it. Same scoring that you would do for a Z fold. It's the same fold. It's just instead of folding it back on itself, we're going to fold it forward and it'll make an easel. The key to making an easel card is putting something inside the card base that then allows the front of this card base that we fold over here to lean up against or nestle into, so when the card is open. Now, what I have found is that another card maker would understand that this is an easel card, but if I was giving this to one of my family members who don't make cards, they would have absolutely no idea that this was an easel card and that it was supposed to like stand up. So I often will include a little note on the inside of an easel card that just lets them know they can pop this up and it will sit standing up if they tuck it into the little, in this case, there'll be a star on the inside. So here I am just adding this piece of midnight cardstock from Concord and Ninth down to the front, and it's cut at 4 by 5 1/4, but I'm only gluing it to the bottom part after past the score line because we want this to be an easel, right? So it's not going to be able to be an easel if we glue it all the way across the front. Here I have some Copic opaque, it's like paint, I guess, and I'm going to splatter it on. But before I do that, I realized I needed to do some stamping. So with the postage collections, there's different little postage stamps like these ones. These ones are geared towards holidays, and then there's some that are just plain like 15 cents, and you'll see it because I'm going to use it here on this card, I think. I either use it on this one or another one. But I thought I would go ahead and add a few of these stamped down just to give a little bit more interest to the card. All in all, I probably could have just gone without these, but they're still cute. I liked how they turned out. So I'm just gonna get these all lined up where I want them, and then I will stamp them. And then we're gonna do that whole process for each card, or each card front, I should say. Aren't these gorgeous? So on the poinsettias here, I used abandoned coral for the red, or for the kind of lighter color in the middle. And then what was the dark red I used? I think I used candied apple. That is what I used. I used candied apple. And then I used chipped sapphire for the background. So here I'm using Altenew Obsidian black ink. This black ink is fantastic for stamping small images or sentiments or anything with detail. It just stamps really, really well. You can see here why I speed a lot of my videos up. I move slow. I am a pretty, I guess I craft slow, maybe is how you say it. I just take my time. I enjoy the process so much of creating. And so I'm never really in a serious rush when I'm creating a card. Sometimes I have to be if I'm up against a deadline or something. But for the most part, I really just enjoy the process of creating and to do it at my leisure. So here we are going to do that splatter that I was talking about earlier. So what I like to do is I take a clear block and I put a little bit of my white paint, whatever kind you want. You could use any kind. You could use acrylic paint that you just have hanging around. Some people use gesso or gesso, depends on, I've heard it said both ways. Some people just use perfect pearls. There's tons of ways that you can put a little bit of white splatter on your cards. Then I take a little bit of water and spritz it on to dilute it just a little bit and make it move easier for splattering. And then I just take it off the edge of my clear block and splatter onto the background. Now I wanted it to almost be like a fine mist. So I held my block up high and I splattered without trying to push big blobs on, and it came out perfect, exactly like I wanted. So here we are using this, I forget what this is called. I think it's called the Christmas Merry Sentiment Builder. It'll be linked below the video, don't you worry. But I'm using some Concord and 9th ink. This is Poppy ink. And I'm stamping Merry Christmas. And this is one of Kristina Werner's releases with Concord and 9th. I have linked to all of the products below this video so that you know. By the way, here's a little trick for you. I had die cut all of these stars in white, but then I wanted them red. So I just put them into this Poppy ink with my tweezers and lifted them off, and then they were red. Instead of having to go and die cut red, I just did that. You could do that. You can do Copic markers and color it. You could ink blend over the top of it. Lots of options. Here I've already stamped inside the card. It's a really nice little message. It says, it's a time for joy, peace, and family, sending you and yours all the joy imaginable. So I'm really bad about putting sentiments inside my cards. And so this was a really sweet one that I liked, and I actually remembered to add it to the center of, or the middle of the card. After getting all of these stamped, I actually end up stamping with this same stamp set on the gingerbread one as well. You'll see that here in a little bit. But the card was basically finished. I just needed to adhere the little star on the inside. And all that does is provide a little spot for the front of the card to lean up against when it's open. So you don't have to even pop it up. I have found that if you just glue, you could even, I'll be honest, if there was a die cut for the sentiment that I just stamped inside the card, instead of stamping it flat on the card, I would have die cut it, but there isn't. So I went ahead and stamped it on the card and then added the little star. I think the star is cute anyway. It's Christmassy. And then look, your easel sits up against that perfectly, no problem. Really, really simple. Super fun way to just kind of take a card that would be cute and pretty to the next level and kind of make it a wow. So here we're going to go and do exactly what we did earlier and stamp with that Altenew Obsidian black ink over the top of some of these images. I have to admit, it's pretty hard to stamp over the top of this stuff because it's like you don't want to mess it up. You don't want it to not, you know, you want it to look all cutesy tootsy. So I feel like when I stamp something over it, then it's like I get really nervous that it's going to mess it up. But at the end of the day, it's worth it because it does end up looking really cute. For the snowman, what I decided to do on this one was stamp more of these snowflakes. So there's a lot of white space on the snowman, which I actually really like. I love white space on a card, but it was a good opportunity to add some of the snowflakes. The way I'm arranging them here is in a triangle. So I'm sure you've heard this before, but in case you haven't, when you are creating, it is good to think of things in the shape of a triangle. So when you're putting your embellishments on something, when you are putting, you know, like these little stamps, I'm trying to arrange them so that each of them make a triangle. So I hope that makes sense, but that's just really good visually. We like, for whatever reason, the human eye likes a triangle because it connects everything together. So, let's see. Let's have a little story time here while we're stamping and finishing these cards. I'm not going to go over the measurements again past right now. I'm just going to tell you one more time. You cut your cardstock at 5.5 by 8.5. You scored at 4.25, and then you scored at 2 1/8. And every single one of these is scored exactly the same way to make an easel card. So, yeah, let's chat now about some life stuff. What's happening in life? Story time is we still have a sick horse. I am not kidding. I am not kidding. So for those of you who might be new around here, my daughter owns a horse, or we own a horse, whatever you want to say it. She is a teen. She's in high school. And we have found that farm life, country life is what suits us best. I've been a country girl my entire life. And my daughter really has just stepped right into that role. So she kind of lives the dream I always wish I had, which is having a horse and getting to do all the things. However, her horse is sick all the time. I don't know what we're doing wrong, but I think it's just been kind of a luck thing. In the summer, she had a disease called strangles. I know it sounds horrible, but it's a virus. And it went away. It was a couple months worth. And then a couple months later, now we've got pigeon fever, which again is a bacteria. It's a virus, not her fault. It's just flies, that's what carries it. It's gross, but they get swollen and then you have to treat it, and it's a whole thing. And I'm not going to talk about the treatment here because it's disgusting. And we're making a beautiful Christmas card, so we don't need to be grossed out. So really quick, back to the card. Here I want to show you on this little skinny die. There was not a die that was little enough to cut the and bright. So what I did is I cut one end of it, and then I just went in with the die and cut the other end with the die as well. So it just made that and bright part small, and it made it fit perfectly. Then we're just going to pop these up on the front of the card. So we've had that going on in life, the sick horse. And my daughter has started working where she will sometimes house sit for people. So it's not like a real job, but it's, it's great because it gives her a little bit of cash when she needs it type situation. So that's been going on, and yeah, we are going to be, I'm recording this video quite a ways before we do this, but this is what's going to be happening over Christmas or over Thanksgiving. My husband took the week off, and we are painting the dining room and living room. Yes, because we are psycho apparently. So we have pulled, at this point, we have pulled everything out. At the time I'm recording this, we've pulled everything out. We've prepped everything pretty much, and we're getting ready to go into the weekend where we'll start the painting. So we are not hosting Thanksgiving this year. Thanksgiving, we are going to a really close friend of ours house. Actually, I've shared with you, my little niece, Ashley. She's not really my biological niece, but I call her my niece because she's been in my life since I was a kid. I mean, I was 17 when she was born. And we're going to her house with baby Emery. So an update on baby Emery, for those of you who have been around here, she is doing well. She's still not even 9 pounds. She's getting really close to 9 pounds. Look at all these cute cards. So she's getting really close to 9 pounds. Not quite there yet, but she's really kind of come to life. She's interacting more now, and she's just a little behind. So she was born premature, for those who don't know, and she's doing better. She still has a lot of tummy troubles. I wouldn't call her just this happy, healthy baby necessarily. She's healthy, but she's just struggles. So anyway, you can continue to keep her in your prayers if you want to, but she is doing much better. So here's all 3 of our cards. Aren't they fabulous? And then I paired them with matching envelopes from Altenew. This is something I am bound and determined to get better about in 2025. pairing all of my cards with envelopes. Please. Yes. And I want to decorate envelopes too. So hold me to it. Hold me to it. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in and hanging out with me for a little while, you guys. I really appreciate you. I appreciate your time. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you comment below and say hi and watch any of the other videos you see here. And click on the little circle with my face in it to subscribe. If you need any of the products, they're in the link below the video. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.